All right, so what's up, guys? Today we're gonna have a big video. Today we're gonna break down everything my man Daniel, that you can see here, has done to gain 25 pounds of muscle in only 90 days. I repeat it, 25 pounds of muscle in only 90 days. So we're gonna break down everything he's done from A to Z, so you can basically replicate it in your own life and put on anywhere from 20 to 30 pounds of muscle in the next 90 days if you're fucking serious. Because if you just want to play around and you don't take notes, you don't take this seriously, and you're not willing to be resourceful, it's not going to work. And that's going to be your fault because it's your duty, it's your responsibility to get to your goal. But I'm trying to help you as much as I can. So in this video, we're basically going to break down everything he's done. And as you can see, that's him on the screen, January 8th, when he was very skinny. I think he weighed at 154. And then here in March 16 of this year, where he weighed at 180 pounds. So he was, when he started, he was basically lost in what to do in the gym, lost in how to do diet. He's been basically skinny his whole entire life, like most of you guys watching here, because a lot of you guys that I've talked to in the past, you've been stuck being very skinny, underweight for multiple years, and you just never been able to really get out of that stuck stage. And today's the day to maybe say enough is enough. Let me draw a line in the sand and take that shit seriously. One thing that you guys have to understand is that to even be able to like come close to make a transformation like this, to even come close to be able to like actually bulk up the amount of muscle that you want to build, you have to have this type of mentality that he had. Decided to basically take a risk, bet on himself, go all in, and actually invest in himself. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to invest in you if you're not willing to even invest in yourself. Let me say that again. No one is going to invest in you if you're not even willing to invest in your self development and your self improvement. Now, let's get right in the video. In this video, we're basically going to talk about a lot of things. But one thing that I want you guys to understand is that we're basically going to focus on those six things. We're going to basically understand the success mindset that allowed Daniel to really be able to put on this 25 pounds of muscle in the next 90 days. And, without it, it's going to be a 100% failure regardless of what approach you take, regardless of who you listen to. You need to have this mindset and you cannot skip this step. If you don't actually embody this mindset, it's just not going to work because you're not the right person for it. As sad and as harsh that it does sound, I just have to give it to you cash, tough love. And we're basically going to understand how he weighted himself daily for the next 3 to 4 months because that is very crucial. A lot of you guys don't weight yourself appropriately. You don't even know really how much you weigh because you don't even know how to actually weight yourself. So your weight is actually accurate and it's not some BS. Then now we find out later that you're not actually 150 pounds, you're actually 142 pounds or so. And we're going to discuss how you track calories, how you track macros, and also how we assess the gains and the result. Because a lot of you guys don't even know if you're actually making progress, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I think I'm making progress. You look at the scale, you're like, oh, I'm not making progress. You don't even know how to actually assess progress. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well and how to implement a plan based on what you're doing, if it's wrong, right, etc. And obviously how we dialed in with a personalized bulking plan for his workout and his diet as well. Now let's first get into who this video is really for. So basically, I want you guys to really pay attention to this. This video is really not for all those people, for anyone who is closed minded and wants to basically continue doing things his own way, although it's clearly not working, which is why you're watching this video in the first place. Because if what you're doing is actually working and you're satisfied, you're not watching a bulking video. So if you're here, you're watching because what you're doing is not freaking working. And if you're closed minded, you better just leave. This is also not for anyone who's too afraid of actually taking action toward their goals and actually do things differently. Because when something is not working, if you keep doing it, expecting a different result, perfect. Now you can identify someone who's insane. That is the exact definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a magically different result. We're not in a fairy tale. We have to actually have result and understand that, hey, it's not working. Perhaps I should change something. Perhaps I should change a lot of things. And this is also not for anyone who is basically not willing to, battle his own limiting belief and incorporate this proven process, which does work and will always freaking work. Because a lot of you guys, hide behind the fact that you have a fast metabolism and believe that it's impossible, while there's a bunch of guys out there who have done it, like me. I've gained 70 pounds only muscle with a fast metabolism. If I can do it, you can do it. If Daniel can gain 25 pounds in 90 days, you can do it too. But you have to first believe it. Anyway, this is for the man who recognizes and actually admits that what he is doing is not working and is wanting and willing to actually make changes and take action. This is for the man who understands that taking action is the only way to actually get results in life. Staying in your comfort zone will always, always be your demise. You're not growing in there. And if you just don't want to make changes, you will keep making the same results in your life. And if that's fine with you, please do not watch this video. This is really for the men who have the balls to actually invest in themselves, bite the bullet, go all in on themselves, taking the necessary actions toward their goals and dreams. This is for those people. Now, without further ado, let's actually get to the first fucking step. Let's go. So, step numero uno. Step numero uno, the mentality to actually adopt to be successful in this journey. You need to be aware that you do have limiting beliefs. We all do. Me, you, a pig, a fish, who knows? Everybody got limiting beliefs, okay? We all do to some level. So, what you need to understand is that you have them and you need to be able to not let them get in the way of the person you want to be. Not let them get basically in the way of the goals that you do have. Because when you have a faster metabolism or when you're skinny, when you've been trying some things for a while, you're going to tend to think that you just can't do it. You just have a faster metabolism than everybody else out there. You just have a different body composition. You just have this, you just have that. That's a bunch of limiting beliefs. There's a bunch of guys out there that have very similar situation to you and they're able to make it happen because they don't let those thoughts and limiting beliefs actually dictate their future. All limiting beliefs have these in common. When you do make a decision, you're going to feel nervous, uncomfortable, anxious, and doubtful because those beliefs will tell you that it's not going to work. And if you do listen to them, you will actually not going to make it work. You're going to do everything in your power to not make it work. Once again, if you let those beliefs actually command your life, command you, and get in the way, they're going to convince you to the point that you will do everything in your power to not make it work. You will not do the necessary actions. You will not be willing to invest in yourself. You will not be willing to actually take action when you know that you need the help to be able to get there. You got to understand that they're going to basically tell you you can't do it. Don't bet on yourself. Don't try something new. You don't know if it's going to work. Don't take the risk. Just stay in your comfort zone. It may not work. All those thoughts are not serving you. And you need to overcome those limiting beliefs. Because, what happens if you don't grow the balls to actually overcome them? Well, guess what? You will basically continue being stuck for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And no one is going to tell you what to do, or no one is going to keep you accountable because no one cares. That's your life and your responsibility and your problems. If you don't man up and actually try to make changes, like actually don't just do the bare minimum and then be like, well, I've tried everything, it's impossible. You can do that if you want to stay stuck. If you don't want to stay stuck, well, you have to think differently and you have to make decisions differently. You have to basically do what you think the best version of yourself would do. Okay, so now let's finally get into the second step. How to weight yourself accurately, okay? That's a step that 99% of people just skip over. They're just like, oh, man, I just, bring the scale and I just weigh myself. And yeah, it says 158, 130. BS. This is not how you weight yourself. You need to first make sure that your weight scale is effective. Some weight scale don't work. They're just not right. They're wrong. You need to make sure that it's the right one, that it actually is accurate, that it's not some BS old scale that you had for 20 years or whatever like that. You need to make sure that the scale actually works. That's number one. If you're unsure, just go to the doctor, or buy a new one. Just buy a new one. That would be the best thing to do if that's necessary. Because you cannot literally you because you cannot start any journey like this without even knowing what you actually weigh. Like that's the number one step. You cannot skip it. Now you need to understand that throughout the day, your weight will fluctuate, which means that usually in the morning you're gonna weigh the least amount. That is the most accurate weight that you're gonna have. Throughout the day is going to be all over the place, depending on what you eat, what's going on in your body composition, all the metabolism stuff or whatever that's going on, how much you're walking, how much exercising you're doing, all the stuff. Very inaccurate. You could go up 5 to even 7 pounds in a day and then just go back down um, all the way like the next day. That is not accurate to weight yourself any other days than in the morning. So you weight yourself in the morning and you weight yourself after using the bathroom, before eating, drinking, anything. This is how you weight yourself in the most accurate manner possible. And I don't want you to be weighting yourself in any other manner because that's inaccurate. But 99% of you guys should just weight yourself in the morning after using the bathroom, before eating or drinking anything. Now, you need to do that all the time and every single day, every single morning. You need to make sure that you know exactly what is your actual weight because sometimes that's gonna differ a little bit. You need to know what is the average. Is it 149 today, 151 another day, 149, 151? You're basically 150. That is your weight. And preferably, it would be best if you keep doing this for the rest of your life. So that's going to keep you really sharp and on top of things. I've been doing this for a very long time. I always weigh myself in the morning the same way. I've been doing that for many years and I'll never stop because that's keeping me really accountable. That's keeping me really on top of things. So I don't just, get lazy. And then I'm like, oh, one day I'm like, oh man, I weighed man, 165 again? What happened? I would have never known. Yeah, because you didn't check. You haven't checked. You haven't, taken care of it. So now you're back at square one. Anyway, now let's get to step number three, how to track your calories. Very important step. If you skip that step, you might as well just do a bunch of BS because you're going to get fat. If you don't know what you're doing with your calories, with your macros, you're setting yourself up for adding way too much fat in our muscle because you can gain 25 pounds in 90 days. A lot of people can do that with all fat. If that's what you want, if you just want to be a skinny fat person instead of being skinny, do it. Go ahead. No one is stopping you. And then once you're skinny fat, you're gonna look at yourself in the mirror and be like, this is even worse. What is this? I don't even know if I should cut or bulk. Yes, because you got a lot of fat and a lot of parts where you're skinny. Does it work? Now, what you need to do before you even get to implementing a new calorie and macro game plan, you need to actually track your calories for at least a week. At least a week. 2 weeks would be best. 2 weeks, hands down, would be at least best to really figure out basically what is going on, how much you're eating, what are you eating, etc. Because if you don't even know what's going on, how the hell do you think you're going to be able to make a plan when we don't even know what you're actually eating? And you think you know until you actually write it down and you actually count everything and you realize, wow, I was so off because that happens every single time. There's not a single person that, sits down and actually track his calories for the first time and be like, whoa, man, that's exactly what I thought I was doing. No, 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 no. That's not what happens. That is not what happens. That was not what happened with me. I was very shocked. I had to make a lot of changes. Everybody has to actually sit down and actually do that. And you need to be able to be consistently tracking your calories. You can't miss a day. Don't miss a day. Don't miss the meals. Make sure you track every single calories for every single day for the next week or 2 weeks, preferably, at least to just know where you're at and just eat like you normally do. Don't change a thing. Don't try to cheat and just all of a sudden you're eating all salads and stuff and all the good stuff, no junk food all of a sudden. No, just eat like you normally eat. So that's actually a normal like week, not a all over the place just because you're tracking it. And once you did do that, now we can assess a little bit what has been going on really. Once you did do that for like 1 to 2 weeks, now we can understand, okay, how much have you been eating, how much should you be eating, etc. But without even knowing what you've been eating and for how long or whatnot, we don't know. We're not gonna know. We're just gonna guess. And when we guess, we're gonna do a bunch of shitty results. You're not gonna get what you want, and you're just gonna be mad at yourself because you're gonna look worse than you wanted to. And you need to understand that the best thing is really to keep tracking your stuff until you get to your goal at least. because that's the way to really, really make sure that you stay on top of things. Because if you just track for, 1, 2 weeks and then never again, well, guess what? How do you know that you're doing the right thing? You don't know. You're just guessing. You're just putting things together, hoping for the best. And if that was that simple, well, everybody would be jacked. Everybody would be jacked and ripped. There will be no one overweight, no one underweight because hey, just eat more. Don't track anything. Don't just guess. Just guess it out. How does guessing it out work for you? Because that's probably what you've been doing. Like most people, like myself when I was there, we just guess things out and hope for the best. And then we stay there for months, years, decades. Perhaps it's time to, stop guessing and actually start tracking. And an app that you can use to do so is MyFitnessPal. It's free. I'm gonna put the link in the bio below. Make sure you just download it and start implementing it. I'm giving you guys some crazy nuggets right now. So now let's get into the macros because that's the second step. Very important. What are macros? Macros are proteins, carbs, and fats. And the most important one that we really want to focus on here is to basically your proteins because a lot of you guys don't eat enough protein. And if you don't eat enough protein, you can work out the most you want. You can eat a lot of food. You're just going to get fat because there's nothing for your muscles to actually convert all the damages that you've done. Because when you break a muscle down, it has to take the proteins to basically build the muscle bigger, stronger, etc. But if there's no proteins, not enough proteins, well, there's none of that happen. Instead, it's gonna grab the fat and just store it somewhere and make you fatter. And now you're just gonna be a bigger version of yourself, but with fat, not muscle. So you need to really track your macros as well as you're tracking your calories for 1 week at least, 2 weeks at best. And the goal, once you do figure that out, is to understand that you should usually eat about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I weigh 180 pounds, 100 grams of proteins per day, minimum I should be eating. Minimum. You weigh 130 pounds, 130 grams of proteins minimum, which I think is still too low most of the time because you're already underweight, unless you basically at a height of like 5'1". Typically, you want your proteins to basically be about 35% of your food. You know, basically 35% of everything you eat all the time should be about should be proteins. And some of the best, protein sources in general would be chicken, beef, salmon, tuna, eggs, great ones. So if you don't eat those, I don't know what you're doing. But first, you need to understand how much proteins you actually eat on a regular basis. And to do that, you have to track. Because, the danger of eating below 100 grams of, proteins daily, like a lot of you guys will find out after actually tracking, is that you simply won't build muscle. You get fat and you'll be on your way to be skinny fat. If that's what you want to aim for, might not be watching the right video. But if you want to get jacked, want to put on 25 pounds of muscle like Daniel, and your gym workouts will also be shitty because you don't have enough proteins to really, have an impact in your gym sessions to make yourself, have a lot more energy during your gym sessions and a lot more, strong during your gym sessions. So you really need to have proteins and you really need to eat 1 gram of proteins per pound of body weight at least, which you can also track on the app MyFitnessPal, which is for free as well. Now, let's get into some of the assessing part of all this stuff. So, what do you do when you actually find out your calories, find out your macros, you actually didn't just watch the video and just went back to doing nothing, you actually implemented things? Well, what happens is that you're going to realize that, it's very likely that you have inconsistencies in your meals. Like Daniel, that's what we found that he has inconsistency in his meals. I think he was skipping his lunch most of the time, which one of the biggest thing that we made is just made sure that we created a meal plan that's going to be specific for making sure that he never skip lunch and instead that he gets the right amount of proteins for lunch and he also get the right amount of calories for lunch. Because a lot of you guys, if you skip meals, that's already one of the biggest gap that you can feel. If you only eat 2 meals a day, well, guess what? Just eating 3 meals a day would already be quite a solution because that's gonna be able to like put you at a higher calorie that you currently are. And but the best would be to also know how much proteins you're eating in those meals to be able to like make sure that you are hitting those protein intake, which is 1 gram of proteins per pound of body weight. So for Daniel, we basically increase his calories by 6 to 800, put him in a calorie surplus of 600, 6 to 800 on a daily basis. until basically it hit a plateau. Once it hit a plateau and we're not gaining 1 to 2 pounds a week, what we did is that we basically increased it again to four to 500 calories to make sure that we keep on actually hitting the goals. And some of you guys might be watching this and being like, "Whoa, man, I don't want to eat 5,000 calories and shit." Well, guess what? There's multiple ways to really be able to, have a lot of calories without even feeling like you eat a lot of food. But you have to understand that number one, if you do wake up late or you skip breakfast, etc., you need to stop doing this because a lot of you guys, you wake up late or so, and the less amount of time that you're actually, up and about, the less amount of time you're gonna be hungry, and the less amount of time you're gonna be having time to really space out your meals. For example, if I wake up at 6 a.m. and I get my breakfast there, very likely by 10 a.m. already, you might be hungry. You might want to eat something because you woke up so early that you're going to easily fit 3 to 4 meals in your day just because you're naturally hungry, especially if you don't skip your breakfast. Because a lot of you guys skip breakfast, which is so bad. Do not skip breakfast. Do not skip any meals. The more meals you skip, the less of a chance you're putting yourself to be in a calorie surplus and to be able to add muscle, to be able to hit your protein intake, etc. So do not miss meals. What we did is that we made sure that Daniel had 35% of his food from proteins and about 45% from carbs and 20, I believe, from fats. And this is what you should be doing as well. Follow that exact same structure. And the best way to go about this is always to eat most of your food from whole foods first at all time, because whole foods is going to give you the best results, going to be the healthiest, etc. The most organic, the most fresh foods, etc. And the more fresh and organic the foods are, the better the results will be. And what we had him do as well is having protein shakes. Some of you guys might be looking at me being like, "Man, I tried shakes. That don't work." No, you tried it wrong. It does work. You just don't know how to do it right. We did shakes, etc., because you can also drink your proteins. You can also drink your food to a degree, but you have to do it right. You can't just guess it out, just do a bunch of random stuff, have no structure, just do things randomly and just think it's gonna work. This is how you fluctuate, go all over the place, and then what happens? You're frustrated. Because you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you don't know what's going on, you're frustrated, then you try it again, same thing, and it goes nowhere. And then we're just mad at each other. Or more like you're mad at yourself. And what we did to make sure to, basically complete the goals was to implement those protein shakes. So we didn't, depend on the protein shakes. We had them there to make sure that we still can get to the goals. But you don't want to depend on them and just like eat a bunch of BS throughout the day stuff and like hope for the best and you don't know how much you're eating. It's just as a supplement to supplement, the goals that we want to get to without having to eat an insane amount of foods, etc., and to make our life easier. So now let's get into the personalized 3 to 4 day bulking workout plan that we had for my big man, Daniel. We had something that basically was 3 to 4 times a week. The beginning, the first 1 to 2 months, he only trained about 3 times a week, which is all you need to do if you really want to bulk up, put the most amount of muscle, and you have a fast metabolism. All you got to do is train 3 to 4 times a week. If you train five, six, seven, BS. You don't need to. You should, as a matter of fact. The more you train with fast metabolism, the harder it's going to be for you to put on the amount of muscle that you want. Why? Because just think of it like this. You burn a lot of calories naturally. And what you do is go to the gym and burn a ton more calories every single day and then think that you're going to be able to, put on a lot more muscle, put on a lot more weight, etc. No, it's not going to work because you're burning too much and you're not training appropriately. If you're training effectively, appropriately, you have the right combination, etc., you only need to literally go 3 to 4 times a week and trigger the muscles the right way to basically trigger the most muscle growth and to not have to go 7 times a week, 6 times a week, because I used to train 6 to 7 times a week myself, like most of my first half of my fitness journey until I switched over to 3 to 4 times a week, which was life changing. Not only I got bigger, I got stronger, but I also had more time. And that was just not necessary to train as much as I was. And his workouts were ranging from an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. And myself right now, I'm training for 2 hours or so. You don't have to, but I just enjoy it. So most of the times, an hour and 30 minutes is as much as you really need to be able to like get the gains that you want to get to. And we make sure that we had some progressive overload on a weekly basis. Because a lot of you guys actually think that, you're making progress, but too slow. And when it's too slow, it goes nowhere. So 5 to 10 pounds expected in increasing weights every single week was what we were shooting for most of every single exercises until it really becomes impossible to do so. And when I say impossible, like really impossible, not just, well, I had two left in the tank, but I was kind of tired, so I didn't do it. No, actually impossible. By then, we reduced it to like 2.5 to 5 pound increase on a weekly basis in like, bench press, squat, etc. Until it really becomes impossible as well. And after that, that has to be bi-weekly. So every other weeks. But we're still making progress. We're not staying at the same weights, expecting different, muscle mass increase and, more strength to happen all of a sudden. No. And along with that, we made sure to implement some supersets. For those who don't know, a superset is this very simple. Basically, I'm doing one exercise, and then what I do after, another one with no break in between. So bicep curls, no break, row pull down. That would be a superset. That allows you to make sure to work out a lot faster and just be able to get back home as quickly as possible. And also, like, really increase the intensity of the workout to make yourself basically um, just work a lot harder and also make your basically your body and also get the blood flow in your body just to be a lot more pronounced. And that's going to be a lot more tiring, but that's also going to improve your cardio significantly, which for some of you guys that might help you a lot also in the bedroom, which cardio is very important for those aspects as well. And another thing that we've done is drop sets. A drop set is very similar to a superset, but the difference is that basically you're doing the same exercise several times with no break in between. Let's say I'm doing some bicep curls. I've done my first set. What I do is put the weight down, grab a lower weight for bicep curls still, and just do it right away. And then I put that weight down, grab an even lower weight, and put that weight on and start doing the same thing. I do it several times. Usually, you can do it 3 times is where you want to be at. You can even go to 4 times, and that will be called just one set. That means that's like almost a set with multiple little sets in between. And that's usually the best to do that, at the complete last set of an exercise. Let's say that like I'm doing bicep curls. I've done 3 sets already, normal, completely normal. I did one set, then I rested 90 seconds, one set, 90 seconds, one set, 90 seconds, and I'm going to my fourth set. Now I'm going to do my set, okay, let's say 12 reps. And what I do after that is pick a lower weight and do again the most I can. That might not be 12 reps, but the most I can. And then put that weight down and pick another weight, a little bit lower again, and go to failure, like real failure. What you're going to see is that your arms or whatever muscle you're going to do that exercise with, and with drop sets, you're going to have a massive pump and you're going to feel completely like you really worked, like you really put some work in. You're going to be very sore tomorrow, etc. And that's very good to like promote a lot of muscle growth. It's a bodybuilding trick. It's a very effective, advanced way to work out. Very, very effective. I do it all the time, all the time. And we basically had to, have weekly calls also to make sure that, we build a pattern of consistency because we can do everything right. If you're not doing it consistently, it doesn't matter. It's useless because you're not doing it consistently. So, what is the point of doing anything right if you're not actually doing it consistently? Consistency is number one. If you can't be consistent, guess what? Anything you do is kind of useless because you are not able to keep that consistency on, which is very, very crucial. So, we had calls every week, make sure we assess everything, he's clear on everything, and we make sure that like he stays consistent on top of everything, and I'm basically overshadowing everything and making sure that like he understands what he's supposed to do, he's motivated, and that there's no way, no quitting, no throwing the towel. There's you get to your goal, you become the best version of yourself that you fucking wanted or not, almost. But that those have to also come out of you because no one can, I'm not gonna come to your house or no one's gonna come to your house and just put a I don't know put a gun to your head and say, hey man, you go to the gym today. No, you have to really understand that at the end of the day it is your responsibility to actually take this shit seriously. And if you don't, well, stay stuck for the next 20 years. No one else is going to care, sadly. But a secret tip, you will usually lift a lot more weight and have a lot more energy when you do work out in the afternoon rather than in the morning. That is a secret tip. That's a secret tip that people sometimes don't even know and notice, which you're always going to be a lot stronger in the afternoon, evening than in the morning, due to your body being a lot more awake and having normally usually more like 2 to 3 meals instead of simply one before hitting the gym, like in the morning where you might have breakfast, hit the gym, or some of you crazy motherfuckers might be having no breakfast, go to a gym and just, feel a lot weaker than what you would feel if you did have breakfast or if you did have multiple meals and did one in the afternoon or evening. So now we're getting to the point that, a lot of you guys do struggle, consistency, discipline, guidance, and actually knowing what you're actually supposed to do step by step and how to implement it in your actual life. That is most people's problems. That was my problem too. And what you need to understand is that you can gain 25 to 35 pounds and you can do it, in 90 days, just like Daniel. Or you can also not do anything and just stay the same and just stay how you were. That is both your choices. But one of those choices, actually changes your life for the better, actually increases your confidence and your self esteem to levels that you never thought were possible. Like, if we think about it, it's like, how much have we literally lost out on just not actually committing to ourselves and not actually drawing a line in the sand and saying, enough is enough. If I need help, I'll get the help, I'll get the results. Fuck it. If you want to actually stop staying the way you are, stop feeling how you are feeling, and actually, get a taste of the top of the mountain, just click the link below, book a free call with me. Let's just see what's going on. Let's just really understand what is your situation. Let's see if we can help you and get you to the next fucking level, the level that you've been wishing you were at for a long time, that you've been, talking to people about, that you've been, dreaming about, that you've been thinking about, that people have been maybe, roasting you and bullying you about. Because a lot of skinny guys, they do go through those jokes, bullying, etc., which it's not funny at all. Like, that's not funny. Like, you laugh because there's nothing else you can do. I was there. I've been there. I didn't like it. Did you like it? Do you like to get bullied? No one does. Do you like to get, oh yeah, you're skinny as no, you don't like that. No one does. You laugh because that's just true. You are skinny, but do you want to stay skinny? That's the question. If you do, I don't even know why you're still here. Just stay skinny. Don't watch this video. But if you actually want to make a change, let's fucking book a call. Let's talk. Let's see what's up. Let's actually get you to the next level. Guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. And after now gaining a solid like 25 pounds of muscle, like, I guess, how do you feel?
I'm happy at where I am now. I'm
Mhm.
much more confident than I used to be back then, 3 months ago. And yeah, I look forward to, gaining more weight, putting on as much muscles as I can, to boost my confidence. Yeah.
Good, man. Lastly, like, what would be an advice you would give someone that's been stuck, like, in the same way, looking the same for like maybe years or what so? And what would be an advice that you give them?
Yeah, I would say that, it's all about you having a goal and then, going for your goals. You
Mhm.
have to, put in the work, you have to take the risk. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to see changes overnight. It will take some time. You just have to be disciplined, put in the work, you know, do whatever the program says you should do, and then you should hit your goals at the end of the day.
Perfect, man. Well, I appreciate you, Daniel.